Hey, it's JP Morgan here. Today on the Slanted Lens, I'm going to show you my editing process using both Photoshop and Luminar 4, how I edit portraits next here on the Slanted Lens. You know, I shoot a ton of people, and because I shoot so many people, it seems like I spend a tremendous amount of time retouching portraits. It's a constant process. It used to be a very long process. It just went through so many things to be able to do the eyes and the makeup. I mean, it's just a long process. It's been really exciting to see a simplified version through Luminar 4 that allows you to edit portraits, do it quickly, and to be able to apply some of the same things you had to do 3 or 4 steps in Photoshop to be able to accomplish. You can do them very quickly in this program. But before we get started, a special shout out to, special thanks to Luminar 4 and to Tamron who are sponsoring this video. Really a great program, Luminar 4. If you want to get a copy of this program, you can save $10 off. Use the affiliate link below. It's Luminar TSL 10. Save you $10. It's already a standalone program. It's very inexpensive. That's a significant savings. You don't need Photoshop. You don't need Lightroom to be able to run this program. It'll work as a standalone way to sort your images, work in your images, and to really give you almost a Lightroom Photoshop type experience at a very, very compact, quick, easy way to apply a lot of those different things that those programs do. So let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at my process, just see exactly how I get an image from Photoshop into Luminar and get an image out of Luminar. These images are from a shoot that we did in the Tamron booth at WPPI. It was kind of a tough lighting situation because you got all those overhead lights in the convention center. Difficult to overpower the lights that we had from overhead, but we were able to do that. We had both a Westcott light from behind, kind of giving her a nice rim light, and then I would bring in a little Lytra light and just kind of open up her face a little bit, and it was really nice. I'm shooting an 85mm lens. It's the 85-1.8 from Tamron, and that gives me a nice kind of look at her face. It's a beautiful lens for shooting portraits. So I started with a raw file, so I'm going to open that up in Camera Raw. In Camera Raw here, I'm immediately going to just open this image into Photoshop. In Photoshop, I'm now going to come up under Filter, and I'm going to go into Luminar 4. Once I'm in Luminar 4, it's going to give me a lot of the same options, a lot of the same things that I loved about Camera Raw. I can get them right here in Light. So I click on the Light module up on the top here, and the first thing I'm going to do with this image is it's just way too warm. We're in that lighting situation where the color balance wasn't quite right, so I'm going to add a little bit of blue, clean up the color on her face. I'm going to leave the exposure, but I'm going to open up the shadows just a little bit. I'm then going to take, and I'm okay with the highlights. I might recover a little bit of the highlights on some of these skin tones on the front of her face. Exposure's pretty good. Just a little bit more clean. A little bit more blue there. Then I'm going to jump down here to color, just because I love this kind of experience. In color in the advanced settings, I can look here at the different hue, saturation, luminance, and hue shifts. So I'm going to go here into the blue, and I'm going to just mess with that blue in the background. See that? I'm going to take it, I'm going to not make it purple, but I'm going to push the blue over a little bit. I'm going to jump to saturation. I'm going to saturate it just a little bit. Just gives us a nice strong color behind her. I think that's a lot of fun. I don't need to illuminate, that's a little too much. I can pull that luminosity down just a little bit so it darkens it, but just gives me a nice contrast between her head, the feather, and her face. But now I'm going to jump into the green module, and I'm going to push that green up just a little bit. I'm going to make that green just a little more exciting here. I'm going to saturate it just a little bit. Take a look at this here. We got a before and after right here, so you can just take a look at the top here, drag that across. That's where we're at. That boa's looking nice. Not a boa, but her headdress is looking great. All right, so I'm happy with that in Light here. I'm now going to go down to the Portrait. This is the Portrait Enhancement module. And in here, I've got several different things we're going to do. We're going to start with skin. And if I check this box right here, AI Skin Defects Removal, it's going to help me get rid of anything on her face that just feels like a blemish or something that's wrong. It's going to go through a process of trying to figure that out. I'm going to push this up. I'm not going to go too far with this because I think if you go too far, it starts to be way too saturated. Well, look at that. It goes soft. It looks like an 80s portrait. So I'm going to just get this up here, maybe about 35 or so. All right, so there's our AI Skin Enhancer. It doesn't clean up everything. It's not going to clean up this hair on her forehead. There's several things in here that it's just not going to do. So I'm going to jump up here to the Erase tool. Now you have Erase or Clone. First off, I'm going to hit Erase. And the reason I'm going to do that is the Erase is kind of like a healing brush. It allows me to do different things in here. It won't do everything. It's going to get rid of this just fine. It'll get rid of that and it'll look great. if I could draw a straight line, it would. And then I come down here, everything that's red is what it's going to show. Okay. I'm not going to try to do some of these, like I want to get rid of this right here, but I'm not. That's just going to make that hair look really funky. Or this right in here is just going to give me a funky area. So that's all I'm going to do with the erase right now. Those two lines I know I can get rid of with that pretty easily. Maybe I'll get rid of this right here as well. And I'm going to apply that erase, and that'll get rid of those. You'll see how easily that gets rid of them. So I got rid of my up there, but now I still have these hairs here that are really bugging me. And that's this one right here is really bothering me, but I'm going to go into the clone stamp tool to do that one. It's just a lot easier to clone stamp that. A little more time consuming, but I think it's worth the time to mess with it. I'm now going to go into the portrait enhancer. These are all the controls that you really work at making a face look great. It's very simple sliders. I can brighten her face up a little bit. Next, I'm going to jump to the eye enhancer here. That eye enhancer is going to brighten the iris, and it's going to kind of give us a little sharper iris, but it's just going to make it a little brighter, a little more engaging. You can see how that works here. Take a look at our before and after. Just opens up that iris. It gives that iris a lot of depth and makes your eyes just a lot more engaging. So I love that look. Take a little bit of the dark circles out. She doesn't have a lot of that to worry about there, so I'm not going to mess with that too much. So now we have a slimming the face. Her face is already, it's beautiful. She doesn't need to have her face slimmed, but some people that really helps to just slim it just slightly, and it does it automatically. It's going to just slim the face just a little bit. You see how it drops in the cheeks, and just a nice look there. You can enlarge her eyes if you want. Whoa, that's kind of creepy. But just a tiny bit of enlargement of the eyes is never a bad thing. But I'm going to not do very much. Now, take a look at that a little before and after there, making nice progress. I'm going to go ahead and improve those eyebrows. I'm going to darken those eyebrows just a little bit. And you can see how that's applied there. Those eyebrows are just a little darker. I'm now going to go in and I'm going to saturate. Now we have three things for the lips. I'm going to saturate the color. Kind of see that saturation come up. I'm going to make them a little more red. It might be a little too much. And then I'm just going to darken them just a little bit. So there's a look at those lips before and after. And then we can whiten the teeth, but we have no teeth, so I'm not going to mess with that. All right, I'm going to save the preset here. I'm going to call it Peacock 1. Now I can jump right back to that preset anytime. And that gives me the ability to play with that. So I'm now going to go up and I'm going to create a new adjustment layer here, and I'm just going to play around with, if I go back into Luminar, into their portrait looks, I'm going to just play around with what some of these look like. That's pretty awesome, actually. You can play with the slider here to apply more of it. It's up here as well. If you add that layer, you can mess with it up here. This one's interesting to me because it's very black and white. There's my portrait. I'm going to just put a little bit of that black and white in. It's going to just desaturate the color a little bit. And it's going to make it feel a little more vintage. And I'm going to add that. I like that a lot. So I'm going to save that as a new look here. This is Peacock 2. So that goes into my looks. I'm going to go back to portraits, and I'm going to just play here now with going into, maybe I'll add this layer here. So I've settled on here. What I have is my Peacock 2, which is basically black and white, and I'm just taking some of the color saturation out of it. I'm going to go ahead and finish with that. I'm going to apply that. I do like our original, just beautiful color, full color. I love the warmth of her face, but the Peacock 2 is really nice as well. If you just kind of vintage, take some of that color out. So there's our before and after. There's as we took it out of Photoshop, out of Camera Raw, and there's after we applied our work, did our work on it. So we cleaned up the eyes, we've gotten rid of the hairs, enhanced the lips, and took just a little bit of color out of it. That's a pretty look there, it really is. So there's the before and after. So there's a look at Luminar 4. You know, we wouldn't talk about these things if I didn't feel very comfortable with them. I have loved this kind of standalone program for some time. I've used several of them in the past. This is the best that's out there right now. It's quick. It's an easy way to edit a portrait, do it very quickly and get on to the next one. Just makes that just a simple process, and that's what makes it so valuable. Again, you can integrate it with Photoshop, Lightroom, or you can use it as a standalone program. So if you want to try this out, they do have a free trial. Or if you'd like to get a copy of it, you can click on an affiliate link below, Luminar TSL 10. That'll give you $10 off. Great buy. You'll be retouching portraits in no time. Again, special thanks to Luminar 4 and Tamron for sponsoring this segment. So check it out. Make sure you join us on Patreon. We've got a great Patreon group there where you can kind of level up your photography and video and get involved with us on a one-to-one kind of level. So join our Patreon group. You'll enjoy that group. We're doing a lot of fun things over there. So keep those cameras rolling and keep on clicking.